All right, so before we even start, I got to get ahead of this. I am fully aware that the last video that I did, I said that Brody might be a Skrull, and in my mind, I thought, wow, cool. Look at John Bonjour, world's greatest detective, being real smart and seeing a good thing that nobody else saw. It turns out, everyone saw that. Everyone thinks that, and everyone has thought that from the very beginning. So that's pretty cool. That feels good. It's really cool to notice something and feel like I was ahead of the game, and then literally everyone and their mom and their brother and their weird aunt who doesn't watch movies or shows just also somehow knew that Rhodey was probably a Skrull. But you know, sometimes you just gotta take a shot, you know? You just gotta shoot for the moon, and even if you don't make it, everyone will make it to the stars with you because they also saw the stars, and you're not special. Hi, I'm John Bonjour. I am an artist and a film enthusiast, and I want to talk about Secret Invasion Episode 3. So right off the bat, I am loving the show. I mean, this is not news. If you watched the first 2 videos I put out, this is a great show. It's really fun. I love the spy energy that it's bringing. It feels very early Bond, you know, where it's like, yeah, not a ton is happening in that not a ton of people are getting shot or, you know, punched, or they're not using crazy gadgets, but like a lot is happening. And I feel like it's weird that people think that nothing's happening or they think it's boring, because we're getting a lot of character development and a lot of interesting factions kind of building up this episode, and I'm hoping the next episode are going to feel like a second act. This certainly felt like the first half of the second act, and then hopefully the last 2 episodes are going to feel like a third act. Like, this is a well-paced show. It's just waiting week to week makes people unhappy, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on. The only thing that I'm kind of not super on board with in this episode is with the last episode, or the last video that I did. You know, I took another shot, and I was like, maybe they're doing Super Skrulls with the thing. And then at the beginning of this episode, they'd say the words Super Skrull, which is like, I understand that you're doing a thing where it's like, all the comics fans are gonna like, he said the Super Skrull thing. I get that, but it feels weird to like kind of tease a little thing and then start the episode with just like, and then this is what that is. Here you go. I guess we had to know that for later, but it feels like you could have, I don't know, it feels like you could have hinted around it and then have Gravik like pull his hand through the knife and then have the extremist thing, a cool reference, but then have that happen and then everybody in the audience would be like, oh shoot, he's already got it. But that feels like a more natural, you know, reveal than just like Gravik coming out and being, you know, Oprah Winfreying superpowers to as many Skrulls as he possibly can. Feels strange to me. But otherwise, this episode I really liked. The thing that stuck out to me the most on this particular episode is I love the relationship dynamics that are at play. So you've got, obviously the most important one in this show is Fury and Talos. And I love what they're doing with this. I love that, like, a little Pulp Fiction-y, you know, like buddy cop sort of deal. Their interactions are always great. I like that they both have reason to trust each other and reason not to. They're snarky with each other and they're rude to each other, but they don't just like, it's not just like, you get it, we wrote a joke. It's like, sometimes they react to a snarky comment like a human would, or, you know, person or creature with moral guidelines, because one of them is not a human, like someone in a society. Are we allowed to say that without doing the Joker thing? Anyway, I like that their interactions aren't like Marvel. They're not quippy, they're not jokey. I love the relationship that we're kind of developing with Fury and his wife. Fun thing, I just rewatched Winter Soldier, because 4th of July you're doing a Captain America. That's our tradition. So I just watched that, and Fury does make a little joke about having a wife. I always kind of read that as a joke, as him being sarcastic or like trying to, you know, add to the Turns out, no. He does have a wife. That's fun. That's a cool little, I don't know, I'm sure they didn't think of that when they wrote Winter Soldier, but a fun little thing. Anyway, his interactions with his wife are tremendous, I think. As far as I'm concerned, like, that's some of the best just conversation scene of the show. I think it fits with the Fury that we know. I'll get to this later, but there's a lot of people that say that they're just like trying to deconstruct Fury or like make him, you know, tear him down. That's dumb. We'll get to that later. I think that's a dumb thing to think. The relationship with his wife is great. I do think her like heel turn to still being with, or to being with Gravik is a little, It feels a little quick to me, but again, I don't know where the show's going. Maybe there's enough later that they had to kind of do that. Same thing with the whole Super Scroll thing. Maybe they just had to get a lot of that out this episode, and then we'd know where we're going in the next one. It's fine. It's a spy thing. I don't think you can find a spy movie or show that doesn't feel a little clunky at some point. That's just like kind of part of the genre, is you have to just go, sure, why wouldn't that happen right now? I could see that, like there's so much of that you just have to kind of accept with the genre. Other fun kind of relationship dynamics, Talos and Gaia are really interesting together. I guess since this is a spoiler review, I don't feel like Gaia's dead. I just don't buy that. I don't know, maybe she is. She might be, and I'd be surprised. But it does feel like kind of a weird thing to set all of that up and then have her just like get shot in the nighttime, kind of in the shoulder. Like, I don't know, it all feels a little bit like, yeah, she probably took the bullet, either got knocked out and turned back to scroll form, or knew that when scrolls die, they go back to scroll form and tried to hide from that. I would be surprised if we didn't see her come back. Just, I didn't get the sense that that was a real, like, important death. It kind of felt like, okay, so you remember in the first episode, where Martin Freeman, where he like jumps off the building and face plants, and then dies. But it just felt more along the weight of that death than Maria Hill's did. Who knows? Maybe it is. Maybe we'll just see. Okay, let's see. Good dynamics. Super Scrolls. Oh, on the topic of Super Scroll, I do think it's kind of funny. So in the comics, the Super Scroll is more of a Fantastic Four villain. And then he gets like, I think it's just one guy, maybe it's a race, I don't remember. One of them gets all the powers of the Fantastic Four, and that's kind of considered the main Super Scroll. And I think it's funny that they've essentially, other than the Invisible Woman, they've essentially got all of the Fantastic Four powers, but just like from other, random characters. Like the Extremis is the Human Torch, Cole Obsidian would be the Thing equivalent, and then Mr. Fantastic, because we don't have him, is, I assume, Groot. He's going to do like a fun little stretchy thing at some point, and I don't know, maybe not. Maybe they're going to have him make little seedlings and light up a room, but probably, I feel like more than likely, it's going to be the stretchy bit, which is funny because we just don't have any stretchy guys, so I just like that they're like, what's the stretchiest guy we have? I hope that they explain where they sort of got all that, and I hope it's not the Power Broker, because I feel like it's probably going to be the Power Broker. I really like the episode. I'm really loving this show. I like the pace that it's going. I think it's interesting. I am not bored. Actually, I get up early to watch it on Wednesdays, because that's when it comes out. So I get up at like 7 in the morning and I watch it before I go to work. So if it was going to be a boring show, I would be asleep. So I don't get that criticism of it being boring. Other criticisms I don't get, and this is what I said we would get to later. There's a subsection of fans that's, I guess, upset that they're making Nick Fury a black character where being black has anything to do with their character? That's the best I can get. Like, I don't know, it feels so much like one of those channels out there that's like,
the She-Hulk? Wow, we're going woke. Like, okay, we're gonna MCU.
Feels like one of those where you're like, you're trying to attack a thing that it just isn't there, but it's just like a great straw man that it's gonna brainwash people and get them upset. I don't know. I used to watch that kind of thing because, a lot of them had some good points at first. There's definitely some stuff that leans way too hard into an agenda that really it doesn't need to and doesn't fit the story and just feels like a propaganda piece. Like, on both sides, by the way. That's a thing that happens on both sides. And as far as I'm concerned, that does make a thing worse, generally speaking. But it's also not helping the fandom when all you can see is that, even when it's not there. Like, Fury is way more, this is a criticism that I've seen a lot, is like, oh, all Fury is just like a black man. No, like, they're giving him so much character development. Then there's also this side that's saying that, like, Fury's being deconstructed, he's, they're trying to take down this powerful man, and also no. Like, he's just a character who's been through some shit, and now he's trying to reconcile with all of that. He's trying to deal with stuff. In terms of writing, they've given us no reason to believe that we're supposed to see this as some agenda-pushing piece. It's just not there. There's just nothing there. He's more than that. He's an interesting character. He's a disgruntled guy. Like, he's an older and aging character who is kind of being pushed out of his field But that's all of his worth. That's clearly, because like they show us with his wife that he has someone who loves him and wants to be there for him, and he still runs away from her. Like that's so clearly they're telling us that Nick Fury is a guy who puts his worth in his work, a thing that should not surprise us because that's always been true. And now when that's failing him, we have to see how he does with that. It's the same thing with Spider-Man 2, okay? Peter Parker starts losing his powers, this thing that he's come to rely on, this thing that overtakes his life. Who is he without the powers? I don't know. Let's find out. That's an interesting story. Who is Nick Fury without S.H.I.E.L.D., without even S.W.O.R.D., without all the government funding and the knowing everything and the tracking down superheroes? Who is he when he's just Nick Fury? If you're not interested in that, I cannot imagine how you've enjoyed anything up to this point. Because that's really solid writing, and this is one of the most interesting MCU shows we've gotten, so I don't know what you want from this. The fandom's in a frustrating place, and I'm going to get off my soapbox now because no one cares what I have to say. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you didn't like it, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell, hit whatever, comment, make a comment down below, nice ones, hopefully, about things that you like, or what you like about this show, or me, what you like about me, maybe some mean ones. Maybe do some mean ones. I don't care, just make a comment. I think it helps my algorithm, some ratio thing, I don't know. Or don't, because honestly, it doesn't matter, and I'm not your dad.